Was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson able to save the skyscraper from toppling, or will it fall flat? And was Hotel Transylvania 3 a spooky good time, or just hauntingly bad? Stay tuned for that here on The Real Review. Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. I am here with Matt. Hey.
Okay. All right, everybody. I am here with Joel. Gets to go to Comic-Con yet again while I stay home and not go to Comic-Con again.
Yeah, I'm going to embrace it. That's
Cunningham.
Totally true. Yeah, Cunningham. Yeah, it's a long one for today.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true.
I am excited.
I am excited for you.
I will say there's something about this year that's just a little different.
Yeah, there's no Marvel presence.
There's no Marvel presence. There's no Disney presence, which it's never like a Disney panel, but it's usually like a Star Wars panel or something like that. So pretty much, yeah, Disney's not there because they're Marvel as well. But yeah, there's a feeling in the air that it's just not going to be as like big and significant. I think they're going to premiere some stuff for Aquaman, which would be cool. And then there's a potential for two things. One is that we might get a little bit of Wonder Woman too.
Okay.
And then additionally, the super secret one is that James Gunn potentially might be announcing that he's going to take part in a film from the Dark Universe.
Ooh.
Which is weird. Cool. I mean, James Gunn, I love his, Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
He's a quirky dude.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Universe stuff as of yet, so maybe he can help redeem it.
So here's the thing that I am interested in, because you and I both really liked the 2014 Godzilla.
Yes,
right?
For sure.
So the other day, I posted this on our site, our Instagram, all that stuff. They released first images from the film. Mm-hmm. You saw those? Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's some cool shots, specifically Godzilla. I'm like, that's cool because that falls in line with what we saw in the first Godzilla. You think you're going to get anything for Godzilla 2, maybe?
I'm trying to figure. I don't know if Legendary, because it's Legendary, right? Legendary Pictures. I'm not sure what their time slot is.
It's a Legendary, Universal, but I think it's primarily Legendary. So
I'm guessing Saturday is when they would usually do the Legendary one. Like they're a big one, so they'd be like Saturday afternoon or evening. If so, then yeah. I think they would do the James Gunn Dark Universe stuff, and then I think they would probably do Godzilla.
That'd be cool. I'm really excited for it. I'm not a fan of who's directing it, but I think I'm really excited for it. Aesthetically, it looks cool already.
I'm going to try to make Saturday. Here's the thing: if you've never been to the San Diego Con, you kind of have to like pick and choose a little bit because it's just so like literally in order to get into the panel for Hall H to see the Legendary stuff on Saturday, you have to get in line sometimes as early as like Thursday. And it sounds insane, and
then
it
you
is.
Like lose out on everything else.
Well, the way that I've legitimately been in like 3 lines at once at San Diego Con because
you cloned yourself.
Well, you'll substantiate yourself in line and kind of make friends with the people that are around you, and then you can kind of line hop and kind of go where you need to. And it's the same sort of thing with the Hall H.
Alliances.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Alliances.
It's a strategy-based MMO.
I thought you were doing a play off a line. Alliances.
Oh, no.
I was making alliances.
Alliances.
You're making alliances. There you go. Yes.
Okay.
You make it. I mean, I legitimately have a group of like 12 people that I connected with that we all meet up every time and just wait in line together. And we all save each other's spot and everything like that. It's pretty insane.
Sounds like a good documentary.
But they changed the system, and we're getting way too much into the weeds with this. We're not even talking about films right now. We will. We'll get to Skyscraper with Hotel Transylvania 3. But yeah, hopefully people find this interesting. They implemented a new system, which is actually a wristband system, because like a few years prior, there's just a lot of line cutting going on and stuff, and there was a lot of contention. I've actually seen people legitimately shouting at people. There's people that were like auctioning off spots in line and things like that. So they implemented a wristband system where at a certain point the night before the Hall H opens, they'll give out wristbands to anybody that's in line up to a certain point. And if you have a wristband, you're supposed to be guaranteed, as long as you're in line within a certain time, like 7 o'clock the day of, you're supposed to be guaranteed a spot in Hall H.
Okay.
The problem was somebody got very...
clever?
Yeah, I guess clever is one way of putting it. Shady's probably better, maybe. Okay. So they created fake bracelets.
Ooh, faux bracelets.
Yeah, they actually sold them for about $20 a pop.
Whoa, but they made some money.
They did, yeah. So they made enough for like about $500 worth of bracelets. So I think that's like 5 times 20.
They're trying to make their money back from the trip.
Yeah, pretty much. And so a bunch of people didn't get in, and so that prevented. So they ended up issuing badges for last year when that happened, for all the people that didn't get in that had bracelets, and so they're implementing some new security features. And so it used to be I would like run out of line and go to some events, and there's an event on Friday night.
Yeah.
So I might not be able to make it back in line in time to get a bracelet for Saturday morning.
Huh.
That's the problem right now. So, but we'll see. I'm going to do my best for you guys. I want to talk about it.
So. People have cloned themselves. I've seen that in movies before.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like...
They're checking with a fine-tooth comb.
You don't want to cut in line because that's like cutting in front of Stanley on Pretzel Day.
It is,
and that's not going to be good.
Well, like they're
for
checking
anybody.
for even like a tear or like, if somebody tried to take it off and give it to somebody else and all this other stuff. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about 2 films that have nothing to do with SDCC. But
San Diego Comic.
Yes, but before we get to that, Matt, why don't you give our listeners, our lovely watchers and listeners, some ways to get connected to the podcast?
Yes, you can totally get connected with us. We'll make it super short and brief. Facebook.com. Instagram, Twitter, @RealReviewMedia, our website, realreviewmedia.com, our email, realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Reach out to us. Let us know what's up. YouTube.com/TheRealReview. You can see a bunch of cool videos there, and that's how you can do it. Get connected. Easy peasy.
Very good. So we're going to, and just a quick reminder how the show works here. We talk a lot about our perspectives and understanding. We're learning and growing. We're kind of on a filmic TV show journey of sorts. We're inviting you to join us. Matt tends to be a bit more of the fan perspective, so more of the hype and the fun and the awesome and emotionally how to impact him, where I tend to be more of the critical, analyzing, detail guy that comes up with all the specifics of what I see could have changed or been different. Yes. Anyway, we put those together to give you what we think is a real good perspective. So why don't we get into it, Matt?
Let's dive in.
I had a chance to see 2 movies. You only had a chance to see Skyscraper.
True story.
So I'm going to let you, if you're comfortable.
Yeah.
If you're feeling
I'm really comfortable right now.
All right, you're very comfortable.
This chair is comfortable.
Very good.
Okay.
I'm going to let you lead off with Skyscraper and sort of take that one.
Yeah, let's do this. Skyscraper. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the synopsis of just one sentence.
That's pretty much all it needs.
A father goes to great lengths to save his family from a burning skyscraper.
There you go.
Okay, done. Okay, next movie.
In China.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. Say that 3 times fast. That's tough. Stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Nev Campbell, Pablo Schreiber, Noah Taylor, McKenna Roberts, Kevin Rankin, and Roland Mueller. Anyways, so this was always, in my opinion, kind of marketed as a just kind of like an action movie that's going to be kind of somewhat ridiculous, and I feel like that's kind of what I got. But overall, my general just feeling of the movie is like, I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah.
Nothing great. I thought it was fine. Nothing I would necessarily say was like really good. Go out and see. The movie did succeed in a couple of really big ways to me. Not enough to make it like, push it over into that really good territory.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was fine. It's not very memorable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think about it right now, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
I guess general impressions first.
Right. General impressions were similar.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting it to be, I think, quite as serious as it ended up being.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot. I was expecting more, like cheesy rock one-liners.
Like Rampage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more of like the over the top and it was over the top ridiculous, but it was in a more grounded way. They tried to set up realistic sequences of events with each of the action set pieces. It wasn't like, and then this thing happened, and then that thing happened, and then he does like a super somersault flip thing, and it was more like every single scene had a specific purpose and reason.
Right.
Now, I will say some of the reasons for why they had to do the things they did in the script were stupid, but all the set pieces for the action sequences were realistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If it can be both realistic and unrealistic at the same time.
Yeah.
I felt like one of the strengths of the scripts for me was Dwayne. I've been getting a little bit we've talked about this a little bit, like fatigued of The Rock, and I've seen him in so many different films now. Many similar to this.
He's in all the movies.
Yeah, but I think they did a good job of, in a sense, not going as The Rock with him. Like, he's more grounded in this one. He gets, like, stabbed and, he gets beat up and injured at different moments. As far as how much that actually impacts him in the course of the film, it's more like, but it did help me to feel like, okay, this isn't just, like, Super Soldier Man.
Yep.
That's just beaten every person down. I think the taking away of his leg, even, which isn't a spoiler, that's all over the trailers and stuff. That helped to humanize him.
Yep.
And I thought it was funny. I will say, kind of spoil it, but like one of the very first action sequences we have is basically his leg getting removed. It's like immediately they're like, all right, we're just going to show you what happens because you're all wondering what's going to happen if he has one leg in a fight. And we're just going to go there and then we can just deal with the rest of this later.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was kind of just like his leg was more of just like a byproduct of the situations, but it wasn't like a real concern or anything. So, yeah.
I agree. And I thought that was one of the bigger strengths of the movie was The Rock wasn't being The Rock. He was just a military dude. He wasn't like, he didn't rely on having to be like super suave and charming or like make liners like in Rampage where it's like, that's a big arm, go to sleep.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he wasn't being like the macho man. He was being a dad. He was being a caring dad. And I like that. He was very serious and that first fight scene that you're talking about, it's not a spoiler. It's I thought it was pretty intense. I thought that was probably the best action sequence.
Agreed.
Because it was just super visceral and like things were like, it was an intense
and there was weighty
moment.
Stakes because the two sides of the coin that you're dealing with there, and it's like interesting because you're like, whoa, what's this reason that this is even happening?
Right.
Which it got dealt with really fast. I was kind of hoping that the story that was in that fight scene would have played out longer in the film because that's kind of the feeling that I had. It was like after about the time that he gets to the skyscraper, it kind of started to fall apart for me a little bit. And it just got kind of like set piece after set piece after set piece. And it was just like the stakes were still there at times. Like even though I knew, okay, none of the good people are going to die in this, it still, it felt like compelling.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like, it lacked that same emphasis and significance. And I think that's a silly thing to say about a film like this, but I think that's really what kept it. And the comparison that I made in my mind, at least, with this film was actually another film about a guy in a skyscraper. Do you know what film I'm talking about?
Sky Hard.
No. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So Die Hard. And I think there was definitely at least 4 or 5 scenes that I noticed that had a very similar...
They were going for that. Even the marketing department had like posters that they deliberately made to look like Die Hard posters.
It felt like, in a sense, a modern day interpretation of Die Hard. And so basing it on that, the thing that was so great about Die Hard, and I'm just using it as comparison, not
it's
because...
It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's just a Christmas film. Exactly. No, it felt like each individual sequence had an understanding of the stakes and the reasons and the passion that was behind them, the theme that was behind each of the characters and what they were fighting for, and not in a good way necessarily. You know, some of them are just fighting for their pride or for money, but you understood, okay, these are what the stakes are. Really, the only person that had any significant like stakes in the movie as far as like what you're connecting to was Dwayne. Yeah. And then his buddy, but again, his buddy kind of wasn't there for most of the film. Yeah. And so I was hoping that more of that, if that had played out over the course of the film, you would have gotten more depth in the fight scenes, because that's what makes a scene, and this sounds silly as well, but like from the original Star Wars where you have, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader doing this like really cheesy, silly little battle with their lightsabers, but you care about the points that each of them is making, and so it makes the battle feel more intense.
Right. So what we can take away from that is if The Rock had a lightsaber,
exactly,
it would have made the movie way better.
Exactly. Then we could have a few less legs.
Right.
He could have,
they could have evened that out.
Evened out the leg situation a bit more.
That's cool. That's cool. No, I mean, I agree with a lot of that. Again, I thought it was fine movie, but one thing I will say this, and I did kind of mention this earlier about some of the big positives for me. One of them was The Rock. The second was Neve Campbell, which is odd because I feel like I haven't seen her in forever.
Yeah, she was all right. I felt like they could have put any actress in there.
But here's
almost.
the thing. I thought she did great, but here's the thing with the movie just as a whole, and I don't know if they were doing this on purpose, but it really made me feel like any of the number of action movies that I went to go see with my dad in the theaters in the 90s. Yeah. Or early 2000s. Yeah. And I did kind of get that vibe because there's a lot of these like little cheesy lines. Like there's like this little dude that like is in like the FBI van when something good happens. He's like, yes. And I'm like, no.
There is a few of those moments. Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's kind of funny. It reminds me of when I was a kid for some reason. But anyways, the one thing that got to me the most, the absolute biggest thing, I have a fear of heights. This movie freaked me out. Like my hands were sweaty.
Yeah.
Like during a couple moments, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like
Yeah.
I was like, nope." I said it to my friend next to me who I went to go see it with, and he said it a couple times too. And I was like, "Nope, no, thank you, nope." And like my hands like were sweaty. I was just uncomfortable, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I had that tingly feeling in my feet. Like it was terrible. But like I got to give credit where credit is due. They did obviously for me. They were playing on my phobia, and they did an effective job at it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it felt like they were going. That agreed. I don't really have the same height issue, but it definitely you've got some of that like whoa, like this is really high type feeling from it. They were going for some quirkiness and kind of interesting ideas for the individual. I mean, the duct tape thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of like an ongoing gag of sorts, which got a little old for me after like the second time it happened. I was like, okay, like, you can't, I get it. You can do anything with duct tape, but it was like, in
the whole time I was thinking duct tape's not that strong.
Yeah. I think one of the
kind I buy isn't.
I think one of the main things, and again, to correlate somewhat to Die Hard, was there was limitations to the technology during the time of Die Hard, and there was they were using
duct
like
tape
high
in Die Hard too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But with this updated film, they're using technology that is like so futuristic. They're using like biometric readers and motion sensing watches and all this other stuff. Lightsabers, yeah. But once you get to that point where it's like pretty much anything is realistic with technology, you start asking the question of like, well, why didn't they do that, or why would they have done this, or
right.
And there started to be, and I'm not going to name the specific moments for not wanting to spoil it, but there was like 3 or 4 times where I'm just like, you didn't do that. Like you didn't just like, you use biometrics, but you wouldn't have like a 2-factor authentication system, which is pretty normal for
like my Gmail.
Yeah. Well, like it's like we're going to give you this one person all of the access and only that person, but provide no alternative or way to turn that off or limit the amount of it. Like there's no reason he would have control over all of these. There's just a lot of issues that it's like, that doesn't seem very realistic to me, And like you have a security center that's located off-site, but you wouldn't really have a guard station for a security center that's off-site. I mean, there's just things like that, and you just kind of start to question it because it's so futuristic and so like, we can do whatever, that it just makes my mind go, whoa, what about this? What about that?
So futuristic, and there were no animojis in the whole thing.
No.
There was none whatsoever.
Were you expecting that?
Nope.
No.
I just saw the facial recognition system that they had, and I was like, I just thought of Apple the whole time. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that just was really silly was the MacGuffin aspect of it. The whole, this is what we're trying to get or take, was just kind of at a certain point like, that's how you're going to go about it? Like, this is, there's many ways that you could topple, like, you could, not saying that this is the right way to do it, but you could blow up the skyscraper. You know what I mean? If you're like a multinational terrorist organization with the ability to do the things that they're doing, you think that maybe they would be able to just like plant a bomb. Yeah. Or something like that would take out a certain stuff like that, I know they had to have it a certain way to get the script to where it needed to be, but
and a MacGuffin is for you people out there who might not know what that is. It's just a device to kind of help further the plot along, like an actual like item.
They also sell them McDonald's for breakfast.
I was just gonna say, and it doesn't
egg McGuffin.
It's not exactly. It's not a muffin sold from McDonald's,
right? Yeah,
as a common misconception may have it.
An egg McGuffin.
Yes, egg McGuffin.
Yes, somewhere out there.
Sausage,
they sell,
egg, McGuffin.
I'm sure. Yeah. So that's kind of like my overall thoughts. What did you think of, special effects? And
for the most part, I thought the special effects were actually really good. Anything with the building was cool. I think I would have liked to see just the concept of everything that you see at the beginning of the movie with the building. I would have liked to see more fully realized stuff of the building, because you get to see it and you're like, wow, this is incredible. Tallest, most sophisticated, advanced building. They show some parts, but they don't like let you linger on it. You don't get to see a lot of the cool stuff until it's burning. Yeah. So I was like, I wanted to see more of that. But
it's one of those situations as well where they like, I get you. It was like the antagonist, the military bad guys were super intelligent until it gets to the point where they need to face off against our protagonist, and then suddenly they become inept and idiotic and they start making stupid decisions. Right. And that's one of the reasons why these movies are like fun, because you're seeing the protagonist beat these antagonists, but there has to be. It has to be realistic to me. And it was like, okay, now that The Rock is here, they're pretty much all going to die.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time and when and where and how and will it be interesting to me. So that's why I'm saying, like, up until about the middle point where he finally gets into the sky. I'm sorry, that's sort of a minor spoiler, but that shouldn't give away too much.
Not really.
Yeah. If you're expecting him to die halfway through the film, that's not what happens. Once he gets in there, you're just kind of like, all right, now I'm just on the ride to see, like, kind of how things resolve themselves. And the kids, to me, his child actors, they were unnecessary. Like, they were just like added drama to the scenes, but it felt really kind of silly at times. It wasn't that they were bad actors, but I felt like his relationship with them felt distant. Like, it felt like they were pretending to be daughters and fathers and sons and everything.
Okay.
So it was a little bit like, well, okay, I don't know.
Yeah. That's all good.
All right. So do you want to rate it?
Yeah, let's rate this thing.
Any other thoughts before?
No.
Okay.
That's really all I got.
I'm giving it a 79.
Really?
Yeah, C+.
Okay.
Was that higher or lower than
That's a little higher than I was going to go. I was going to
Really?
77.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why it's so. Now I'm going to like ponder this and figure out what it was about it.
I think for me, a movie, it needs to be kind of, there has to be some element that stays with me. And right now, the only, like, the big positive that I can take away from it was the heights thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was affected by that in the movie. I was like, I was having a hard time.
Like, we're both see the movie as average. I think the thing that I did get from it that really helped it to be at least almost moving into like a little bit above average was that it really felt like on the edge of my seat at times.
Right.
Like, it was exciting and it was like, I know how this is going to resolve, but they're still managing to set up situations where I'm like, squirming a little bit.
My criteria for grading is so different from yours, and that's okay. And that's kind of part of why we do it.
That's the way we do it.
That's how it works.
Here in the podcast. Cool. So with that, then, we'll move into our second film, and I probably won't spend as much time talking about this.
Sure. Probably easily the most anticipated movie of the year, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was going to think of something witty, but I'm just going to...
You're just going to say no.
Just going to say no.
Shut it down.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Hotel Transylvania 3 on Rotten Tomatoes right now has critics giving it a higher rating than viewers.
That's weird.
Which for a film like this, of this nature, is very odd. Usually you expect that with things like Oscar-nominated films, Academy-type films. But not for a cheesy little silly kids cartoon. Yeah, like very odd. And it's not like they're both blown out of the water. It's not like they're blown out of the water with critics. It's at 60%, but that's considered fresh. Yeah, whereas it's at 55% for viewers. So, brief synopsis for Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. While on a vacation with his family, Count Dracula makes a romantic connection. It's directed by Genndy Tartakovsky. I wanted to make sure I pronounced that correctly. Yep, there you go. It's got the voice acting of Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg, Selena Gomez, Kevin James, David Spade, Steve Buscemi, Keegan-Michael Key, Molly Shannon is new.
That's like Adam's crew.
Yes, it is. Yep, Molly Shannon is new, as well as Mel Brooks is new. Mel Brooks is Vlad. He was in the last one.
Oh, Vlad.
Yep. So I will admit to having seen the prior two Hotel Transylvania.
I heard they weren't bad.
No, and I will admit to that as well.
Okay.
That they kind of, they went a little bit downward. Like, they started up more, like, I'm going to get in the front camera so they can see my levels here. But, like, up here, which was like a B plus kind of range, maybe A minus, and then it went, like, down to, like, B minus range. And then this, I think, is a bit of a step down.
The best trilogy ever, Joel.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We got to know
He's
what
like,
happens.
It's better than the Star Wars trilogy.
We got to know what happens. Yeah, with Novice. So the strength of the films to me was that they're creating this it's a distinct world.
Okay.
And it's like the Dark Universe. It's all the same characters as the Mummy. It's Dracula and the Blob and all this stuff. But with each of the characters, they're setting it up in a cartoon scenario where you can take advantage of the weaknesses and the strengths. Like, Frankenstein is scared of fire. So, like, how can we set up these different scenarios where that plays out? And that's the same thing that happened with Shrek. They set up a very diverse cast of characters, cartoon fairy tale characters that all have their own strengths and weaknesses and how those play off of each other.
Right.
And they always managed to keep that fresh and interesting, and the way that it played out with the individual characters. And then, they bring in Johnny, who's Andy Samberg, voiced by Andy Samberg, who's just the everyday human guy.
Here's Johnny.
Right, and play off of this like fish out of water story, which, I'm a big fan of fish out of water type stuff. So the whole situation and scenarios kind of, they keep your interest and they're fun and there's new compelling reasons. I think one of the weakest things about the film was Dracula. which sounds silly to say, but he was more of like a side character.
Adam Sandler?
Yeah, it was more about the main three. It was about the relationship between the main three, which is Dracula, Johnny, and Mavis, and kind of the way that they played off each other in the cast of characters that they had. This film lacked a significant, I think, bounce off with the other characters. It was much more of a story driven just by the Dracula character. And so because of that, it felt kind of flat to me because there's just only the real interesting nature of the story is, again, them bouncing off each other and playing off each other's strengths and weaknesses. And there was a few moments of that, but it really felt more of like, we're just going to talk about Dracula and him trying to find love.
Yeah.
The thing that it still did well is that it was very creative with the set pieces, with its plays off of like, Atlantis and what that means and the Van Helsing stuff. Molly Shannon plays Wanda Helsing, and the way that plays out is interesting and it's kind of fun. And there still were, maybe 4 or 5 moments of some hefty chuckling.
Okay, hefty chuckling, gotta love it.
Right. Most of that came from the situational irony, though. The unexpected, like, whoa, I wouldn't have seen that coming. What they did not do well in this one, which they had done in prior ones, was create visually funny moments that portrayed on screen kind of made you laugh. Like, I wasn't expecting to visually see that. This one felt like they were trying to do that really hard. Like, they would have these moments where the characters would just, like, stare at the camera with, like, a weird face. And it was like, hey, that's funny, right? Because their face looks weird. And it was like, because it didn't really... It felt like they were trying really hard versus just kind of letting it sit and
like a break the fourth wall thing.
No, they never looked at the fourth wall, but like when Dracula first meets Wanda, and they have this thing in the film which is called like zinging, which is basically like for monsters when they fall in love at first sight, they zing and their body goes like, and they like get the shivers in their eyes like glaze over and stuff. And so there's like a moment when he first meets her and he like zings with her. And let's not get into the connotations of what that might mean, but
come on,
yeah. But like, so he zings with her, and
like zings a song. Like, do they sing a song?
Yes,
Joel?
they zing a song, zing a zappy song.
Yep.
Then his face kind of like turns into like this really goofy because he's like super like, oh my gosh, look at her, she's so cute. And so he gets this like big smile on his face.
Where he does the dub.
Where he goes dub. And it's like. It lasts for like an elongated amount of time. Okay. So it's like you'd think maybe they'd keep on him for like a second, but it goes for like 5, and they're just staring at his face, and it's like, see? It's funny, right? He's got a silly face, see? Right? And at a certain point, you're just like, this is stupid. There was some funny stuff. I mean, there's like a DJ thing battle that happens halfway through, and I actually really found this is the weird thing. The final like fight, if you will, like the climax of the film was actually fun. I like enjoyed it.
That's cool.
So I mean, where it's gonna go, what's gonna happen, but it was still like, it was interesting. Yeah. It felt almost Scott Pilgrim-esque.
I just rewatched that the other day. That's fun.
Yeah. Which there's like a DJ battle thing type thing that happens, and it was interesting and it was funny. And there was some minor plot points and stuff that at times had me chuckling, but I really wish they had spent more time bringing in the characters all around playing off of each other. It really just felt like they were kind of phoning it in. Like we just need to come up with a story, a plot, and instead of really spending our time developing the characters and the interactions and giving them like a really good forward motion, we're just going to come up with like the bare minimum of like how these characters would act within these given scenarios.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of it. I don't need to probably spend too much. The animation is good. Sony Pictures does a good job with their animation. It's not Pixar, but it's up there.
Sure.
Voice acting was fine. I didn't feel like there was anything. Some of the sound effects were really good, actually. I really liked the sound design in this one.
Wasn't like people slipping on banana peels and like the little horn honking.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was silly and cheesy at times.
That's kind of what I think about when you say sound effects.
Well, like, like there's parts where they're like stomping around and like flip-flop things and stuff, and I don't know. Yeah. So, but like I don't want to spoil it. Yeah.
The flip-flop sound design was incredible. That's what I hear.
No, but like it stood out as matching visually what I would think that things would sound like. Okay, I mean, it's hard to say because it's like a made-up world. Yeah. It's a made-up world within a made-up world, I guess.
It's a made-up world inception.
Yeah. So Sound design was good. Animation was good. Voice acting was fine. But the story was just really bland. And it wasn't interesting.
From the synopsis that you read, it didn't seem like... I don't even see how that would relate to to being a child's film. Like, how does a child relate to that?
Yeah, I don't know what a kid... Because it's a story of Dracula finding love.
Maybe that's why the audiences didn't like it.
Well, they tried to... It's possible. They tried to pull it into the idea of family. Mm-hmm. And the importance of family.
Oh, like Vin Diesel in all the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, well, because, Dracula's going to find love, where does that leave Wanda?
Yeah.
Or not Wanda, sorry, where does that leave Mavis and the relationship between the father and the daughter? So there's, a little bit of tension there, but it's so simple and dealt with, so quickly. It's not really going to cause any contention. So it's almost more of a film plot for adults, but the humor is absolutely 100% for kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So I'm giving this one a 69.
Hey-o.
It's a D+.
D+.
Yeah.
It's a real zinger.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if they'll do a 4. I mean, I'll have to see. I haven't had a chance to check out and see how this is doing financially.
It won this weekend.
Did it?
Which is interesting.
Okay.
Because Skyscraper came in 3rd opening weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was 2nd.
That's intense. I did not realize that.
Huh. True story. It's crazy.
Don't know what that says about our culture, but
Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah, but we'll see. Maybe they'll go for a 4th then. It feels kind of like they're at the point now where it's like, okay, story has been told. Yeah. You've delved into everything here.
If an animated movie does well, they're going to keep making them because it's not usually the same type of budget it goes into actual.
I mean, the kids that were in it are now growing up, I guess, so maybe they could do one that's more focused on the children and something. So they kind of left that door open, but.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything. Cool. Anyway, anything else, Matt?
No.
Cool. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up on the podcast in the vidcast. Then, again, some reminders, ways to get connected, realreviewmedia.com.
Yep.
We also have our Facebook, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. We would love to get connected with you there. Instagram and Twitter, which are both at realreviewmedia. Finally, we'd love to hear your thoughts and perspectives on any of these films. Maybe you're going to con. Love to hear what your excitement is.
I'm not going.
Sorry. It's a tough moment for Matt. But I'd love to hear your input on any of the stuff that we discussed today, and I will come back with more news. But drop us a line, realreviewmedia@gmail.com. I will come back from con with hopefully some good stories.
Yes.
Maybe some fun.
I want you to I hope there's some Godzilla 2 stuff in there. That'd be sweet.
I hope there is, and I hope I get to see it.
That'd be sweet.
Both of those things. If I don't get to see it, then I hope there's none of it.
Yeah. I don't want there to be any if I don't get to see it.
You don't get to see what I don't get to see. Yeah. Anyway, so anything else, Matt?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, it's been real.
It's been real.